What went wrong with Another Life, the science fiction show on Netflix? And what does the future hold for the recently announced Season 2? I have some thoughts on this. G'day, I'm Adam David Collins, the author of Jewel of the Stars. When Netflix first released Another Life, I put out a video sharing my thoughts on the first 2 episodes. It was actually one of the best performing videos I've ever done and generated a lot of comments. In that video, my opinion on the show was mostly positive. I did point out some issues with the show, but it raised some interesting sci-fi ideas which I wanted to see explored, so I was looking forward to watching more. Sadly, as I progressed through the show, I enjoyed it a lot less. And I wasn't alone. Most of the voices I'm hearing on the internet seem to be pretty negative on the show. Certainly most of the comments on my video were. My main issue with the show mostly focused on what I considered to be very shallow adolescent relationships. The season finale was a bit of a saving grace, but I'll get to that. So what went wrong? I have a theory on why Season 1 was disappointing and why there might be reason to have hope for Season 2. And it relates to story structure. In order to explain, let me compare Another Life with one of my favourite TV shows, Babylon 5. Babylon 5 was written as a novel for TV. It was structured like a novel. In story structure, there are certain plot points that a book must hit. Some authors plan this deliberately, but a lot of authors just naturally fall into this structure without even knowing it. The first of these important moments happens at the 25% mark of the book. We call it the first plot point. This is the moment when something major happens that forces the character to react. In fact, he or she will spend the rest of the book reacting to this event. This moment kicks off the real plot of the story. When a lot of new writers learn about this, it can be jarring. If the story doesn't start until a quarter of the way through the book, what do I put in the first quarter? Which we call Act 1. I remember really struggling with this myself. The natural inclination when you're first starting off is to shove a whole lot of filler into Act 1. Boring stuff. I've read books like that. Maybe you have too. But the reality is, there's a lot of important things that Act 1 needs to accomplish. It has to establish the setting. It has to introduce the characters. It has to set the tone for the story. And it has to establish a lot of background for the character's main arc. Act 1 is all about showing you the character's normal world. The normal world will be turned upside down at the first plot point, so it's important that we have a chance to get familiar with it before that happens. Getting back to Babylon 5, the first plot point took place at the end of Season 1. That season finale episode did everything that a first plot point is supposed to do. And Season 1 did everything that Act 1 of a book should do. Lots of foreshadowing. Now, I'm not saying Babylon 5 did this perfectly. Most fans would agree that Season 1 is one of the weakest of the show. I theorise, and this is pure speculation, that the writers of Another Life were trying to do something similar. That they were plotting out the show like a novel on TV. Because the Season 1 finale of Another Life similarly felt like a first plot point. Now, you might think that the arrival of the aliens in the first episode was the thing that changed everything, that forced the characters to react. Now, that was just the hook. Sure, it had a big impact on people, and it launched our heroes onto a deep space mission. But it's not until they learn the truth about the aliens in the season finale that their true mission is revealed. Now they know the stakes. Now they know what's going to happen. I quite enjoyed the season finale of Another Life because it was getting back to what interested me about the show, the sci-fi plot. Sadly, it seems the writers struggled with the question of what to do with that pesky first act. So they put in a lot of character stuff, a lot of human drama. The problem is, I didn't like that stuff. It didn't work for me. Don't get me wrong, I love a good character-driven episode. But as I said, what they gave us felt very much like filler to me. Characters' actions lacked sufficient motivation. It's like these characters were all hyper extreme versions of people. Everything they did felt ramped up. And yeah, it was mostly hormone driven, shallow, sexy times, which I just didn't care about. Now, maybe I'm just not the target audience for this show. That's very possible. But all of this leaves me with a little bit of hope. Maybe, just maybe, Season 2 will be better. Because we've crossed into Act 2 now. If Season 2 explores the science fiction plot a bit more, and if the writers have learned from feedback and can give us a little more depth in the character interactions, then the second season might be better than the first. So will I watch Season 2? Well, to be honest, if it hadn't have been for that season finale, my answer would be a firm no. I'm just not interested in continuing. But for the reasons I've explained above, I think I'll at least check out the Season 2 premiere. I'll give it a chance. I'm not promising I'll watch the whole thing, but I'll at least see what that first episode does. Now, if you're a writer and you're wanting to get this whole story structure thing down pat, I'd recommend two things. First of all, check out helpingwritersbecomeauthors.com. KM Wyland is a fantastic teacher of this stuff. She has an extensive series of blog posts and podcasts that cover this topic, which you can consume for free. And she also has a book called Structuring Your Novel. The other thing I'd suggest is just practice. It does get easier. Well, that's all my thoughts for now. If you'd like to keep geeking out over science fiction and fantasy with me, be sure to subscribe. And I'll see you out there.